Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, we have AEW Dynamite featuring many matches taking place. Of course, we're going to see a very interesting match between Leo Rush and, of course, Swerve Strickland. As you know, he is still dealing with the problems with the Hurt Syndicate. And then, of course, our main event features part of the series for the Full Gear Contenders match. FTR, whom we are known as the favorite tag team in AEW, will face members of the House of Black, more specifically Brody King and Malachi Black, better known as the Kings of the Black Throne. So, who will be the ones to advance in the series? That is something we will see. And then, of course, but first things first, we're going to be reviewing two events. First one is going to be Oz Academy with Serpents Temptation, featuring a very interesting main event, a 3-on-1 match. As you know, the former members of Ozaki-gun, most specifically Maya Yukihi, Saori Anu, and Koheku, along with Kap, who in fact no longer associate with Mayumi Ozaki. Well, she's on her own to deal with it. So it's going to be a brutal match between a very dangerous handicap match. So I can't wait to see that. Now, as you all know, I was unable to see NXT on very Tuesday due to some circumstances outside of this channel. But luckily, I decided to review it anyway. Now, remember, this is not a Wednesday Night War episode, so this is mostly separate. So we will go from A to Z on this particular episode, all reviews. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Leaded Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Leaded Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we could either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got new Nike Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside. I believe it's showtime, folks. Yep, using the phrase from Sting. So let's begin. Our first review is from Yoshi Promotion, Oz Academy. Okay, Oz Academy, Serpents Temptation. This recently took place on the 11th of November in Shinjuku FACE. So we have plenty of matches taking place. Nothing too significant, no title matches, but there are possibilities of title matches that could take place in the near future, either if it's in Oz Academy or in other promotions. So let's get started. Our first match, we have Honoka from Pro Wrestling Wave taking on Yuri who's been a part of Gambari Pro. Now, of course, many people know Yuri. She has been one of the most well recognized wrestlers who has grown so much. Who was the girl at the bottom, now reaching for the top. Now, of course, it's no secret how this was going to end up. If you watched him, Yuri was able to pick up a win when she applied the Swanton Bomb. Giving it's not a big win, but at least it's a win for something for her. So we'll see how things will go. I don't know if this is the first time she's ever been to Artist Academy, but we'll see how things will progress. Now, our next match, we have the members of Rebel X Enemy, um, Mika Ozaki and Ram Kaicho. They take on the most strongest duo, Zones and Lady Destroyer Hiroyo Matsumoto. Now, of course, it's no secret about Mika Ozaki, who is a very strong wrestler. We've seen her; she can put people on the torture rack. But Zones and Lady Destroyer have been a very cohesion team, opponents and now tag team. So they've been tag teaming for a while. But it was, of course, Zones who picked up the win onto Ram Kaicho when she applied the Death Valley Bomb or Driver, one of the two. And just like that, it was over. Our next match, we have Chi Chi, our brand new crown Sendai Girls Junior World Champion, take on, of course, Ruka Omasaki from Diana. Now, I wasn't too sure where this is going to go. However, Chi Chi has been a well-decaded, recognized wrestler prospect, but Umasaki, as you all know, she has been well trained very well. We've seen her how she's grown, not to mention becoming, well, I don't know if she is or she is the ace of Diana. But Umasaki was the one that picked up the win with the Spanish suplex. Now, the one thing that really kind of puzzles me on this match, as I mentioned about Chi Chi becoming Sendai Girls Junior World Champion, does this mean that Umasaki could easily issue a challenge to her at Sendai Girls? I mean, it is a possibility. I mean, Chi Chi just won this belt recently in Sendai Girls. But we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, our next match, we have a six-woman tag match. We have Kohaku from Waves, Tsubasa Kuragaki, and Akino taking on Sonaka Kato and Ryo Mizunami, our current tag champions. And don't forget, Mizunami is also um, the Oz Academy Openweight champion. They team up with Izuki Aoki. Now, a lot of things could happen in this type of match. I mean, as I said, if either someone pins Kato or Mizunami, they get a title shot. I mean, they can get a tag title shot, or if they pin Mizunami, they get the openweight championship. However, this match ended with Kuragaki applying a Falcon Arrow on Kato, meaning that pinning and meaning this could be a possibility that um, Tsukasa could issue a challenge for the tag team titles. She did not pin Mizunami by any means necessary. I mean, if she did, she would have got the opportunity, but not this time. But it looks like it could happen. Just waiting to see what's they're going to go from there. Now, our main event, we have, of course, a 3-on-1 type of scenario, but the truth it feels like a 4-on-1. We have, of course, the former members of Ozaki Gun, Kakeru, Sayuri Anu, and Maya Yukihi, along with Cop himself taking on the former leader of Mayumi Ozaki. Now, let me give you guys a little background what really happened with this. Mayumi has went on edge ever since, of course, losing the belts that she had in her possession, more specifically the AEW title from Marvelous. She lost that to Takumi Iroha, who she did not want to face, and then losing the Oz Academy Open Championship. So basically, Mayumi has been very, very, how do I say, pissed off, taking her frustrations out on everyone for their failures. So, of course, like the old saying goes, enough is enough. So that's what happened. Now, of course, there was going to be no fair play in this type of match when it comes to Sayuri, Maya, and Kakeru. They allowed to do dirty weapons. I mean, Mayumi, she is tough as she come, but however, it was not enough. But at some point, Sayuri Ano kept distancing herself in this match. It's like she did not want nothing to do with this. I know that she has her own mindset, how she is, but in the end, it was Yukihi who picked up the win. Now, I don't know what they spoke about in the post match promo, but I'm sure this feud between all of them is not going to end well. So we'll see where that leads us. So from here, we'll just end things here with Oz Academy, and we'll see what happens down the road with them. So let's move on with NXT. Okay, NXT. Now, before I proceed, I want to apologize to everyone who expected me to review this one for Tuesday, but however, due to the circumstances, I wasn't able to do that. But I decided out of better judgment that I should just do it now before it's too late. But let's get it started. Our first match, we have, of course, a women's tag match. Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend taking on Stephanie Vakir and Julia. Now, this happened about a week ago during the ECW thing. Now, Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend appeared in front of the five ladies, um, Jordan, Julia, Stephanie, um, Zara, and all that. So basically, they got into the faces of Julia and Stephanie. So this is what led. However, we know that Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend are a good team and a cohesion. But when it comes to Stephanie and Julia, that's a different story. They're, as you know, they're dominant as singles competitors. But when it comes to being a duo, that is a different story. And that's what they've been doing. But there was an amazing stereo knee strike that Jakara Jackson suffered in the hands of both Julia and Steph, but it was Julia who was the legal person that picked up the win. But however, in the post-match promo, we did notice that it appears that both Stephanie and Julia may be competing in both the Iron Survivor Challenge that happens every year. So we are commencing on that particular event as well. Now, our very first match we have is a Iron Survivor qualifier in the women's side. We have Sol Ruka and Cora Jade. Now, of course, Cora Jade is determined to prove a point that women like Sol Ruka are don't deserve to be there. But Sol Ruka, we have seen her how much she has grown, how much she had surprised us when she created the Soul Snatcher, and that's exactly what happened. She actually took Cora Jade's soul with the Soul Snatcher, and just like that, she is in it. Now, we did see Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander, who are in the midst of seeing their upcoming matches in the Iron Survival Challenge. Javon will be dealing with Lexus King, while Cedric Alexander will deal with Wes Lee. And then we did see a bit of a talking between Carmen Petrovic and Dion Lennox about, of course, the recent actions that Carmen has been dealing with. And then, of course, out of nowhere, things were getting a little more like, high school drama, where later they decided to do a men's tournament, like a intergender, like a mixed tag match, which is, I think, the last thing they need. So, well, Dion is like treating this like, I don't know if Brinley Reese has a thing for Dion. I don't know if Adonis has a thing for Carmen. I don't know. It's kind of he said, she said. So even Vic was saying, I'm not getting involved in that. Now, our next match, we do have another qualifier match in the men's Iron Survival Challenge. We have Wesley versus Cedric Alexander. Now, it's no secret that Wesley, ever since turning on Zachary Wentz, he will love nothing more to get his hands on the NXT title to become a Grand Slam champion. Now remember, he's been North American champion, he's been tag champion, so it's obvious that's been the case for him. But now that he's making that goal clear, now West would do anything to get his hands on that, and that's exactly what he did when he removed the safety of the middle turnbuckle that allowed him to pick up the win when he went on to Cedric Alexander when it was exposed, and then he used the Meteora to end things, so he's in the whole thing. Now, our general manager Ava has been in the meeting room with talking to many tag teams that have been involved, like of course Hank and Ten Connection, OTM, Gallus, and I forgot various others. So basically, there's a lot of heat coming in the NXT tag team division. So that's going to be heating up real quickly. Now, Tony D'Angelo, as you know, the Don of NXT, minds his own business unless business is being presented to him. So he was approached by Sean Spears and, of course, Brooks Jensen. Now, it appears that the last couple of weeks we've been seeing Sean Spears try to talk to Tony D'Angelo, but it seems things were keep getting in his way. Like last time, like 2 weeks ago, we saw the call from Nunzio. That was one of them. But it appears now that Sean Spears' goal is getting his hands on the North American title. But of course, Tony D'Angelo is not going to walk away from anything like that, so we'll see what happens. But he did give Brooks Jensen an advice to tell him to stand on his 2 feet. He doesn't need a guy like Sean Spears, so who knows what will happen. So that's something we will expect at some point. Now, our next interview, we see Byron talking to Kelani Jordan, who is in fact in a rematch opportunity to regain the North American title that was taken from her, all thanks to Fatal Influence, who claim that they are the ones that run NXT. But we'll see where that leads. Now, Trick Williams comes out because apparently that he wanted to discuss the elephant in the room. As you all know, last week, Rich Holland pinned him. So he knows it's no secret that Rich Holland will love nothing more to get his hands on the NXT title. However, Andre Chase decided to come out and talk to him. Now, of course, Trick Williams understand about what Andre Chase went through. Understand that he has been a very influential in NXT for what he's done and all that. And then Rich Holland, of course, with his nonsense comes out. However, there's going to be a number one contenders on who will face Trick Williams at Deadline. So that's the thing that's going to go on. So Andre Chase decided to gamble everything. Chase you, if he loses, it belongs to Rich Holland. However, Trick Williams said that he will love nothing more than to see Andre Chase to win because he put his money on him. So we'll see what happens until then. But Rich Holland decided to bust some heads, but nope, he ended up getting busted head. But we did see, of course, the people, Duke, Riley, and Thea were concerned about what's going on. But of course, Chase knows what's happening, so he's not an idiot. So he has to do what is necessary. Now, our next match, we did see Nikita Lyons versus Adriana Rizzo. Now, it's now been confirmed that it was Nikita Lyons that attacked Rizzo for no apparent reason. It's claiming that she's taking opportunities that she deserves. Now, of course, Andrea Rizzo, we have seen her not that much on NXT, but mostly on NXT Level Up. But it was Nikita Lyons with a somewhat of a Vader bomb that sealed the deal in this match. But Andrea Rizzo decided to get the last laugh by whacking her with the crowbar. So the obvious question that I have to say with Vic Joseph, that it's true, is this really truly over? That is something I'm sure we're going to see. You know, the old saying goes, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So that's something we're going to see what happened. Now, Ava Rins is at her office having a nice meeting with Josh Briggs and Yoshiko Inamura from Pro Wrestling Noah. But once again, Eddie Thorpe has interrupted, tried to talk to her. So basically, a lot of things have been taking place. Now, our next match, we have another men's, we have a men's Iron Survival Challenge. We have Javon Evans versus Lexis King. Now, of course, I don't know how Lexis King is feeling after, having leg problems, but Javon Evans has been a very sensation. Now, a part of me, I thought in my mind that Wesley was trying to stop him because he does not believe that Evans is not ready for a NXT title contingency. I mean, the kid has stepped up the plate no matter how young he is. But of course, it was the corkscrew splash by Javon Evans that allowed him to get a spot. So he joins Wesley, and I'm sure Wesley doesn't want him to get involved, but too bad. Now, more situations has coming around with the current tag team champions, Nathan Frazier and Axiom. Now, many of you may remember last year's Iron Survivor Challenge. We did see Axiom. He was in fact involved. And now Nathan Frazier, out of his, well, you can say his stupidiness, he wants to get involved. But Axiom is trying to tell him, we have tag teams that are gunning for us. So, of course, he had many he later was confronted by them. OTM, Hank and Tank, everybody wants it. And it became a full-blown brawl. Even towards the end of the programming, it ended. The tag teams, it's becoming hot. So we'll see what happens. Now let's jump into our main event, which is the NXT Women's North American Title. Kalani Jordan versus Fallon Henley. Now remember, Fatal Influence were claiming that Kalani Jordan was ducking them. No, she was not ducking them. She was telling them, "Hey, I'm right here." But once again, the numbers game has always been the fatal thing that Kalani Jordan lost the last time. But it was Jay-Z Jane with a fist and then a famouser that allowed her to, of course, once again to lose, and Fallon Henley lose when taking the belt. But I have a feeling that she's going to have to defend it against the newcomers who are far more dangerous. I wouldn't be surprised if Zaria is the one who's going to challenge her, but we'll see what happens. But for now, we'll end things here with NXT and move on with AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite, let's begin. Our first match is a very interesting tag match. Christian Cage teaming up with, of course, Hangman Adam Page against the Bang Bang Gang's very own Juice Robinson and Jay White. Now, it's a very unusual team that we're going to see. As you know, Christian Cage had dealt with Jay White before, not to mention he screwed him out a few times. Same thing with Hangman Page. Like the old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But of course, there'll be some moments where things will not agree. But don't forget, the problem is this: Juice and Jay White do not have both the guns by their side, thanks to Hangman. But of course, the factor is effing Shayna, effing Kip got involved, and this allowed for Hangman to apply the Deadeye on Juice Robinson. So we'll see what happens. But I was hoping the Hook was going to show up to get his hands on Christian Cage for what he's done. But sooner or later, that will happen. Now, we did see an interview with Renee Paquette talking to Mercedes Moné and Camille. As you know, Mercedes has to contend against Chris Statlander at Full Gear for the TBS title. However, they were viciously attacked to Chris Statlander and things went out of control. So we'll see where that leads us until Full Gear. Now, in the ring, we did see Tony Schiavone conducting an interview with Will Ospreay. Now, it's no secret what's happening. Will Ospreay has one thing on his mind, and it's, of course, Kyle Fletcher. Now, Fletcher, as you know, no longer has any ties towards Will Ospreay for what happened, reminding him about Okada and Kenny and all that. But of course, Will Ospreay will love nothing more to get his hands on him at Full Gear. However, of course, the Don Callis family always had each other's backs. Cage and Archer showed up, and then of course, what's his name? Mark Davis and Hobbs also showed up. So a lot of things were taking place. But however, we jumped into the False Count Anywhere match between Lance Archer and Roderick Strong. Now remember, Roderick Strong has to win a match, 3 consecutive wins to get his hands on MJF. And that's exactly what was going to go. I mean, you saw in this match, it was everywhere. They were using all the plunder, tried to go through everything. But however, it was a jumping knee strike over the railing that allowed for Roderick Strong to pick up the win. But in no time, as soon as that match was over, Roderick Strong's pal Adam Cole gets in the ring to deal with Konosuke Takeshita, who also has to win 3 matches. So basically, we now know that the hired gun that was sent to Adam Cole was Takeshita. But at some point, when Takeshita knew things were not going his way, somehow that sleazing little weasel, Don Callis hid the diamond ring into the dynamite diamond ring under the ring, whacking Adam Cole with the ref not noticing it and ping-falling the match. However, Takeshita decided to eliminate Adam Cole, but Kyle O'Reilly showed up, and then Roderick Strong too. Then Ricochet. As you know, Ricochet wants the AEW International Championship. So we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, Renee Paquette conducts another interview, but this time with the Hurt Syndicate. As you know, Bobby Lashley will deal with Swerve Strickland at Full Gear. However, because Renee Paquette thinks that, she is saying that Swerve Strickland is one of the most dangerous men MVP's like, nope, that's a load of BS. Bobby Lashley is the most dangerous man. They don't think he is. They think he lost his way ever since he decided to remain with Prince Nana. That's always been the clear cut, but however, we'll see where that goes. Now, the Death Riders out of nowhere began to attack JD Drake and just whack him. And then all of his son Moxley showed up with Marina Shafir. Now, of course, Orange Cassidy, Rock Romero, and Mark Briscoe decided to stand tall against the Death Riders. But Orange Cassidy is saying that he needs to free AEW from Moxley, freeing the AEW World title from his grasp. But he also said that he has to deal with a certain pawn, and that pawn is Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta doesn't consider himself as a pawn, and Claudio was telling him, shut up. So you got to ask yourself, when I heard that, I was thinking, is Orange Cassidy right? Is Wheeler Yuta a pawn? And why did Claudio tell him to shut up? But however, we will find out until next week. But however, all hell broke loose when Darby Allin showed up. And of course, the conglomerate got involved in this situation, so we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, Renee does another interview with Chris Jericho. As you know, Jericho has to contend with Tomohiro Ishii. So we'll see where that goes, because I'm sure that Ishii, his mind is on the Ring of Honor World title. That's something we will see. Now, our next match, we have Britt Baker taking on Penelope Ford. Nothing too significant of this match, but however, I was impressed. What we all know, the finishers from both ladies. Britt has the lockjaw, Penelope Ford has the Moodle lock. But somehow, Britt Baker was able to counter the Moodle lock and turn it into a lockjaw, forcing Penelope Ford to just tap out. Just like that. I don't know what's going to happen there, but I thought it was a pretty good match. Now, Renee does another interview, but this time it was with Mina Shirakawa coming back from Japan, looking for Mariah May, and once again, the little cuckoo, Harley Cameron, gets involved, and you know how she is. She's all talk but no action. That's why she lost to Thunder Rosa, because she talks too much. She thinks she knows everything, but that's her biggest mistake. And I think she's going to follow the same mistake with Mina Shirakawa at Collision. So we'll see where that goes. Now, our next match, we have Swerve Strickland taking on Lio Rush. So as you know, Lio Rush knows Swerve very, very, very well. But however, you can tell that some of their styles are almost similar in some capacity. But Swerve was determined to defeat him in any way possible. But it was the pressure on him, on Lio Rush, that Swerve Strickland finished him off. But of course, the Hurt Business showed up at the post-match after Swerve won. But what they didn't realize, while Swerve was focused on MVP and Lashley, of course we had Shelton Benjamin showed up from behind. Of course, they tried to hurt him even further and further. Refs and other people were trying to help, but the Hurt Syndicate was not having it. They want to hurt him even further. So we'll see where that goes. Now, of course, we did see another interview with Renee, this time with Jamie Hayter. The real question is, what's next? Now, however, I don't know if this was botched or not, but she seems like she has one thing in mind, but that's not what happened. We just cut into a very interesting vignette. And I have to say, it was a pretty good one. The vignette is Julia Hart. We haven't seen her for quite some time since she got injured, but I thought it was a pretty good one where Julia wakes up from her bed and then picks up the phone, and then there's blood everywhere. I don't know whose idea was it, but it was fantastic. So I can't wait to see what she's going to do next. Now, our main event is part of the Full Gear contenders series. Basically, we already have a team that won the first one, and that is the Outrunners. Now it's the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King, taking on FTR. Now, I have to agree with Tony Schiavone about what he said about this match. People can consider FTR as the favorite of this team, but I feel like we already lost that favoritism a while ago. And now we didn't know how this was going to play out, but it was Brody King who picked up the win by applying a chokehold onto Dax Now, Dax couldn't fight it until he completely passed out. And just like that, they're in it. And of course, Private Party were watching this because they had a front row seat to see this. So we'll see where that goes from there. And of course, we did see the respect between FTR and the Kings of the Black Throne. So we'll see who's going to win in the next two survivors in the series as well. So we'll see what happens until then. But for now, we are done with AEW Dynamite. Let's move on with news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with, of course, the upcoming events with the promotions. Now, majority of it now we have is with GCW, so bear with me. So by the time this video is out, it's already out. We have, of course, Chaos in Kentucky in Louisville on the 14th of November. Myron Reed will take on Matt Diesel. Now, I don't know who that guy is, but we'll see. And then the following day, we have the St. Louis show, Gateway to the Death. One called Manders takes on John Wayne Murdoch. And then on 23rd of November, American Dream, Los Desperados will be taking on Garbage Daddies. Then we got the Bloodsport event taking place in Jersey City on the 24th of November. We have Carmen Petrovic from NXT will be making her way to take on Sumi Sakai. So that's going to be a very interesting match. And then, of course, the You Wouldn't Understand event on the 29th in Brooklyn, New York. Zeta Steel makes her debut, so that's going to be very interesting. And then we have the Say You Will show on the 1st of December in Chicago. Davey Bang and August Matthews will take on Kerry Morton and Griffin McCoy. And then, of course, we have the Phoenix show on the 13th of December. Scene of a Crime, Megan Bain takes on Dulce Tormenta. And then finally, for the highest in the room on the 14th of December in LA, Matthew Justice takes on Dr. Redacted. Now, as we continue with more of the upcoming events, as you know, we continue with more of the Meiko Satomura retirement road. Meiko Satomura will have a match on the 30th of November in Osaka, Japan against Mika Iwata. So that's going to be very interesting to enjoy. And then we have the Ladies Night Out event. We have a title versus title match. We have Angelica Riss, who is the current Ladies Night Out champion, takes on Jasmine Allure, the Hurricane Pro Women's champion. So whoever walks out of the match will have both belts, I believe. And then we have finally the House of Glory Live for the Moment on the 20th of December. The Crown Jewel Championship will be defended. Zilla Fatu takes on Jake Something. Now for our only developments in our section of the news updates, and this one's a very interesting. So you guys tell me what you think. If you believe Rob Van Dam or RVD is right. He spoke about this on Bussin' Open Radio about he believes that Vince McMahon brought back ECW just to destroy it. Now, I want to be honest with you. I felt when he brought back ECW, I thought that was the worst because they try to make it into a WWE setting, but I don't know. I felt like that really, 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 really messed things up for me. I mean, what do you guys think? You think RVD's right? The reason ECW was brought back was for Vince McMahon to destroy it? Do you guys agree? If you do agree, leave a comment. And the same thing you should if you guys don't agree. So leave a comment down below and you guys tell me what you guys think. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news updates. So as I always say, let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have, of course, TNA and Ring of Honor, so that's going to be very interesting to follow. There are still some events I haven't got to see yet. I'm behind on Noah and also on Evolutions. We'll see how that rolls up too. So I'm going to try to catch up as much as possible. I think that's pretty much it. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.